There it is. Welcome to another episode of the DTI Takeover Show. For those of you who are just tuning in, I am one of your hosts. I am your favorite host. I am Miss Kayla. Welcome. As always, we are highlighting and spotlighting an entrepreneur who's out here doing her own thing. Shout out to all of our small business owners, people who just say, you know what, I'm gonna work for myself. We hats off to you all. This young lady is no different. I have Miss Michelle Thurman with us. She is the owner of Mosaic Journeys. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am great. Happy that it's summertime.
Okay. Me too. Michigan weather has decided to finally pick a season.
Oh my gosh.
We need to go through everything within a week.
Oh my gosh. I can't even
So,
imagine.
all of that, we will get it. So I'm happy. Okay, Michelle. So give us a little bit of background about who you are.
So, I am an owner of an independent travel agency. I started my business at the end of 2018. And it was sort of an invitation by another agent because she was booking a trip that I had been invited on to go to Greece. Um, yeah, it was awesome. And the friend that invited me had actually told her that I travel around quite a bit. So she thought
Mhm.
maybe it would be something that would interest me. So
Right.
I've been doing this for a couple of years. Unfortunately, the struggle of the pandemic, it kind of put my business to a complete stop in
Mhm.
2020. So now we're getting back into the swing of things, and business is picking up, and I'm super excited because people are excited about traveling.
Yeah, we are. We get to get out the house. Like we got tired of being shut down. I'm glad you mentioned that though. How were all of you in the travel industry? How were you all able to maneuver? I guess during that pandemic when things had just stopped.
You know, it's really difficult to say. I did not give up a full-time job for this. So I was still working through the pandemic. So
Hmm.
my struggle was definitely much, much, much different from
Hmm.
people who do this full time. And I can imagine how awful it was for them because,
Hmm.
you had to navigate the process of trying to figure out what to do with your customers, your clients, right?
Hmm.
Because all of a sudden you couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
And a lot of companies, and I mean not just travel agencies, but think about places like, if you booked a trip to like Sandals or whatever, now they
Hmm.
all had to figure out how they were
Right.
going to handle this because they still had employees to pay.
Hmm.
Were they going to refund money? Were they going to just give you credit? After a certain point, probably the beginning of 2020, because, this started to creep up probably at the end of 2019, if you were paying attention. So
Hmm.
by the
Hmm.
beginning of 2020, these travel insurance policies had decided that they weren't going to pay on anything if you canceled because now it was seen as a foreseen incident.
Oh, wow. So they said you guys saw this coming.
Right. So it wasn't their problem. Right. So people were just
Wow.
losing money. And it was frustrating. It was really frustrating to watch. And I actually brought my business to a complete stop,
Hmm.
um, primarily because of that. And not to mention the fact that, you had to navigate the process of trying to talk to somebody. You can call one of these companies or these vendors and would be on hold for anywhere between 8 to 14 hours just trying to get through to speak to someone
Hmm.
because it was just that bad. Like the whole world literally came to a stop. It was
Right.
awful. It was awful.
And
So
so
my heart goes out.
when
I'm
did you
sorry.
decide that okay, it's time to go ahead and pick this travel company back up and up and running?
Probably at the end of last year because I got tired of being at home. I've been in the house for 2 years. So I took the step and started traveling at the end of last year. And, people saw that I was out and started calling. So
Like, what
it
you doing,
worked
Michelle? You back and running? I see you.
out. Trying to be. With the lift of this testing policy coming back into the US, it should be a lot easier for people to move around now because that
Mhm.
was primarily what the struggle was, at least for me, traveling internationally.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, it makes sense. Um, but logically it didn't. If you ran into an issue, you have to test 24 hours in advance. That means that when you go someplace, you have to basically make your testing appointment when you check in, right? Because there's so many
Mm-hmm.
people that are traveling, they usually do it when you are going through the check-in process.
Okay.
Um, but then you have these, even with the airlines, you don't even have to be sick. But even with the airline, for example, the last time I went away, I was set to depart on a Saturday. My
Mm-hmm.
test was on Friday. Thursday night, I started getting messages like, oh, there's going to be bad weather. We might
Mm.
have to delay your flight. I'm like, yeah, but I have an appointment to get tested in the morning, right? So if
Right.
I get delayed, what does that mean for me coming back into the country?
Right. Right. The
it,
problem.
it's definitely a struggle. And, people just have to pack their patience along with everything else because you never know what's going to happen at this point.
So you test before you depart and when you're returning?
Well, to
Like if
leave
you're
the
going international.
Yeah, internationally, I guess it depends on where you're going. I haven't been any place that actually required testing ahead of time.
Okay.
However, coming back into the country until recently, the United States did require a test to re-enter the
Mm-hmm.
U.S. So they just dropped that policy maybe about a
Oh,
week or
okay.
two ago. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So how take me, you gotta take me on the journey here, the Mosaic journey. Okay. So what is that look like? I say, Michelle, I wanna go to the Bahamas. How do I book a trip with you?
Well, you can book it a couple of different ways. You can always go to my website. I have a contact us form. If you are that person, there's a lot of introverts out there. Admittedly, I can be one as well.
Mhm.
So then, if you're more comfortable to just go do a contact us inquiry, and I can reach out either by phone or email. You can go to my website. You can see the deals on my website. You can also look through the search engine if you want to book directly, or my phone number is on the website as well. You can reach out to me and give me a call, and we can talk about it. We can decide what type of trip you want to go on, and are you the roughing it type? Do you like to be a little rugged and like hang out with the locals, or do you want to put your feet up and do a little luxury while you're away? Like, I can pretty much get you anywhere I like to go. So, I'm not one of these people that are just limited to, say, like the Caribbean. Like,
Mhm.
I've tried a little bit of everything. So,
I
you let
got
me know
you.
what your interests are, and I'll make it happen.
What's so far, what's been your favorite place to visit?
Oh my gosh, it really is hard to say because I feel like each place kind of provides a different experience, right?
Mhm.
Um, just a little bit about myself. One of the reasons why I've become so passionate, at least recently, like I've always liked to travel, always
Mhm.
liked to travel. But I was diagnosed with MS back in 2013, right?
Mm.
And so my perspective is that I really want to get out and see as much as I can while I can. Who
Mhm.
knows what will change, if it will change,
Right.
but I just don't want to miss the experiences that are out there, right? So, um, you know, as I mentioned, I went to Greece. Greece was awesome, by the way. The problem that I had with Greece is that I didn't spend enough time there. You actually need to really carve out a decent amount of time so
Mm.
that you can actually move around and see what the location has to offer.
Mhm.
I did one of these trips where we did Athens and Mykonos and Santorini, but you need to be able to spend time in each of those locations. Athens, if you're a history buff, is amazing because you can literally walk up on an excavation site in the street. Um, and a lot of things, yeah, it was really great. Like these big holes, and they're like digging up these artifacts and their structures, and
Mhm.
it was just so awesome to see because it's not something that at least I would see around here, right? I would
Mhm.
never get that experience here.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, it was really nice. And of course, everybody sees the pictures of like Mykonos and Santorini. Who doesn't want to go there, right?
I just admire from afar.
You have to do it one day. You have to. So that definitely was a great experience. I did do Bangkok
Did
for New
you?
Year's Eve. So, we did that for New Year's Eve, and then we flew down to Phuket for a couple of days and kind of put our feet up on the beach. And it was just, oh my gosh, if you like humidity, that's the place for you, by the
Mm-mm,
way.
not my thing.
It's not a lot of people's thing. Trust me, it can be overwhelming, but
Hmm.
Thailand is really, really spectacular. There's a lot of culture there.
Hmm.
Just going into these temples and just experiencing things like these outdoor markets and like the floating markets. And if you like to party, then Patong Beach and Phuket is it for you, because you can walk and it's like back to back bars and
Oh
restaurants. And
wow.
oh my gosh, it's so great. I've done London for New Year's Eve, which was
Oh,
awesome
that's
as
nice.
well. If you like off the beaten path, I went to Dubai, which does not qualify as that, but I do have a relative that lives in Kuwait. So I flew over to Kuwait for a day and hung out there. And it was so interesting just to see the differences between Dubai, which is so touristy, but like a Muslim country, versus
Hmm.
Kuwait, which isn't touristy, right? It's very traditional, but they also still have things like opera houses and restaurants and,
Oh, okay.
places that you can just go put up your feet and relax too. So, like I said, I try to get around a little bit and see as much as I can and experience different cultures. Kind of
And
got
so,
stopped. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I cut you
Oh,
off.
no, I said I kind of got stopped once again, coming into the pandemic, because my last big trip was Greece
Hmm.
before that. So I had planned something, which I can't even remember what it was at this point, um, for the following spring, and it just, never manifested. So here we
Got
are.
you. Got you. So now, when you travel to these places, you kind of get a feel for, what's there, and so then you can bring this back and let
Oh,
your clients know what they can expect from these places. So are you when I book with you, are you giving me start to finish? So like my flight, hotel stay, food.
well, it depends on what you're looking for, because I have some people that will come to me and say, I don't want to do anything, right? Like
Mhm.
I need a flight, I need transfers, I need to know what to do, where to go, what are your recommendations? And then I have other people that are just like, oh, just find me a place to stay and I'll figure it
Mhm.
out, right?
That's it.
Right. Like a lot of people like booking their own flights, and they like, just trying to hang out with the locals. They'll jump on a bus and kind of ride around the area when they get there. So it really depends on what the client is looking for. But I can definitely do a package start to finish.
Okay. Okay. And so where do you see Mosaic Journeys 5 years from now?
5 years from now, hopefully it is doing very well. It'll allow me to cut back on my work schedule that I'm working for someone else.
That's the goal.
But realistically speaking, you know, I would be happy if I just had consistency.
Hmm.
Again, with the economy the way that it is, and we're still not completely out of COVID, I'm not really clear where this is going to go,
Right.
especially with them projecting a recession coming. So fingers crossed. My first goal is consistency for the next couple of years. That's all I can ask for.
Got you. I got you. Michelle, how can people follow you on your social media?
So I'm not cool enough to be on TikTok.
We're not there yet either. Just you.
I'm not one of the cool kids. My cousin thinks that I'm very lame. He's just like, oh my God. But I am on Facebook and on Instagram, and the handles are just Mosaic Journeys.
All right. That simple sounds simple to me. I do have to ask you before you leave, why Mosaic Journeys? Where did you create that name?
I mean, because For me, each trip is a journey, right? I always have an experience when I go away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, I don't want to get into too much detail because it's so complicated.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, I went to Thailand, right? On the way
Mm-hmm.
home, I was supposed to connect in Beijing. I got stuck in Beijing for 5 days. 5 days I was stuck there because of weather here. Like no clothes, right? Because Bangkok or Thailand was like 95 to 100 degrees and Beijing was 28,
Oh,
right?
oh no. See, that's my biggest fear. I don't need to get stuck in a whole nother continent. Like, no, I don't need none of those problems.
Right, right. It was definitely an experience. I did not expect to be in China, so I did not prepare to be there. So I did not speak any of the language. They didn't speak English. Um, so again, it was an absolute journey, as with most of my trips. So that's how I came up with that part of it. And I just think travel is beautiful, right? It's beautiful and it's complex sometimes.
Hmm.
And the experiences are always different. So, we incorporate Mosaic into that as well.
I love it. Thank you, Michelle, for being a guest on the show. It was a pleasure having you. We wish you much, much, much more success with Mosaic Journeys. Y'all make sure y'all keep up with Michelle. Book your trip. Book your trip. Book that trip that you've been putting off. Go to Mosaic Journeys on Instagram and on Facebook.
Yeah.
Until next time, everybody, it's your girl, Miss Kayla. Make sure you continue to check out Total Entertainment Radio. Go to www.totalentradio.com. You can listen to Total Entertainment Radio. You can listen to Total Praise Radio. However you feel, we got something for all of you. All right. Until next time, y'all, I'm signing out.